Okay, so now we're ready to start taking a look at the while loop. This is a different style of loop, and the effect is the same. We're going to accomplish repetition in our program. This is the output, filling the screen with 5,000 smiley faces. So let's take a look at the code. Before we look at the while loop, let's remind ourselves of the essentials of counter-controlled repetition. You have the counter variable, the value of which controls the loop, a loop condition or relational expression that's going to evaluate to true or false, and the incrementing the loop counter. Okay, so here I'm just setting the foreground color and then we're done with that. We don't have to worry about that. Now with the while loop, it's not as beginner friendly as the for loop. I told you I like the for loop for first time looping, because all of those essentials are coded right into the loop header. It's really hard to mess up a for loop. The while loop, the essentials are more scattered all over the place, so you really have to be more careful when you're coding a while loop to make sure you're hitting all of those essentials, because if you don't have one of them, you can have some crazy results. So here I have, before I even think about the loop, I have to put that counter down, okay, that essential number 1, which is our loop counter. I've called it counter in this case. Probably more common to use a little throwaway name like I or J or Z or something like that. But for this demo, I'm calling it counter, just so we know exactly who he is. Okay, so that's the counter. I'm starting it at 1. Probably more common to start counting at 0, which we will start doing eventually when we start a race. And then finally, I'm ready to code my while loop. I say while, and then our relational expression, which evaluates to true or false. So, while this evaluates to true, I get another iteration of the loop, and another one, and another one. Eventually, hopefully, that'll become false, and we'll be done with the loop. So that's essential number 2, which is our relational expression, or our loop condition, we can also call that. And then the body of the loop is just printing the smiley face, and very importantly, that third essential. You don't want to forget that. We need to increment counter. If counter is never changing, we're never going to get up to 5,001, which is going to end this loop. Just to prove my point, let me comment this out and run again. This is a common mistake that you'll make. You're not going to make it with the for loop, because you're not going to forget that increment, because it's part of the syntax. But look at this. With the while loop, if you don't have that increment, you throw yourself into an infinite loop, or this loop that has no end. And we just keep getting more and more smileys. I've been teaching programming 20 years, and I still do this in class from time to time, forgetting that increment. So, it's not the end of the world. You'll know it right away when you do it, but prepare to do it from time to time, okay? So, yeah, there you have it. Just a different style of syntax, but we're accomplishing the same thing, which is repetition.